Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next, Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft Singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft Singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft Singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate. Just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata Lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
Homeless people the way they made them when I was a kid. When I was a kid, a homeless guy was a bum, he was a vagrant, somebody down on his luck or whatever, a wino. They didn't have this Shutter Island going on that they had out there, like people talking to trees. You like right here having like Eggs Benedict. He's like looking through a porthole over your cabbage. When I was a kid, you could only be crazy outside for about 15 minutes before a van would pull up and 2 guys in nurses' outfits would just come walking out. Like, hey, buddy, how's it going? You're making a lot of racket out here, aren't you? Why don't you do me a favor? Try this shirt on. You're like, okay. How come the sleeves are so long? Oh, because we're going to tie your arms behind your back because you're out of your fucking mind.
Good morning. It's Monday, Jimmy Failla Monday, October the 20th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, Jimmy Failla, all that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. Now, Stuart Varney.
Good morning, everyone. The president says he does not want to, quote, destroy China with the tariff war. He says the additional 100% tariffs and chip restrictions, they're not sustainable, his words. Maybe those statements are designed to lower the temperature ahead of the president's meeting with Xi Jinping 2 weeks from now. It's all part of the ongoing public negotiation. It is not hurting the market by any means. We have a modest Monday morning rally, maybe in part due to what the president's saying about China. Look at this. The Dow's up 160 points. The Nasdaq is up 145. That's well over a half percentage point for the Nasdaq. Bitcoin, there's a rally there too. 110,008 is the current quote. Interest rates, I'm going to say they're down a fraction. They are. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is now below 4%, 3.99. That's a plus, especially for big tech stocks. The 2-year, well below 3.5%, even though it's moving up a fraction, 3.47 on the 2-year. Gold. Well, it's at $4,337 an ounce, up $124 this morning. You know, it's moving in on $5,000 by the looks of it. It has had a great rally in 2025. So is silver, still above $50 an ounce, 51.38 is your quote. But you better take a look at oil, all the way down to $56 a barrel as of now. That means gas is down. It's come down a lot over the weekend. Your national average for regular is $3.03 a gallon. There are 12 states where the price is below $2.70 a gallon. Oh, but look at California struggling along with gasoline. That's regular gasoline priced at $4.63, $2 ahead of a lot of the country. On the show today, Hamas fighters kill 2 Israeli soldiers. Israel responds with a rocket attack in Gaza. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner just landed in the Middle East to make sure the ceasefire holds. They'll tell Hamas, knock it off. Another drug boat blown up. Our military keeps up the pressure on dictator Maduro in Venezuela, who responds by mobilizing his defense force. The president of Colombia makes the mistake of calling the U.S. murderers for taking out drug boats. Trump's not happy. He's imposed tariffs and suspended all aid immediately. Something is going on in the Caribbean. The No Kings rallies, they're done. Every radical group under the sun came together to hate Trump. That was the Democrats' message for next year's midterms. If you watch the coverage, perhaps you saw a lot of inflations, inflatables, just about everywhere. The Washington Post called that absurdist. France, well, we know they've got a governing problem. They've also got a big jewelry heist to deal with. Not just any old jewelry, oh no. Gems that Napoleon gave to his wife. The theft took place in daylight. It was broken up by security, but not before the thieves had run off on a motorbike. Was it an inside job? Red faces at the Louvre. Monday, October the 20th, 2025, Varney and Company is about to begin.
And that was good old Stuart Varney. Nonprofit News Now. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now this is one of Bill Maher's, what does he call it? New rule. And afterwards, it's 7 minutes long. And then afterwards, I'm going to have a 2 or 3 minute commentary.
And finally, new rule, if you think your job is just to tell people what they want to hear, you're not a journalist. You're a wedding DJ. For years, I've complained about the media only telling half the story, lying by omission when they leave out the part that doesn't feed their narrative. A couple of weeks ago, Fox News and the New York Post committed the clearest example of this I've ever seen when they described my editorial of September 26, where I called for a grand bargain between the far left and the far right, but completely left out the far right part. The Post headline was, Bill Maher calls for a return to old America, tells left to scale back radical ideology, smug self-righteousness, all of which is true. I said that and I stand by it. But I thought, shouldn't you have also put the other half of what I said in your headline? Well, I guess you'll get to it in the article. But you didn't do that either, you fucking liars. know the right likes disappearing people now, but I'm not going to let you disappear my point. And this is what happens after every show. And not just on Fox News, and not just on the right. Ironically, because the blue sky crowd hates me for calling them out on, yes, their voluminous bullshit. They also will sometimes just print my critique of the left because they want people to think I'm a conservative. You are fucking liars, too. Here's a test. Let's see who reports what I'm saying now. No, they won't, because it's just so easy not to. If a truth falls in the algorithm, does it make a sound? The Fox News New York Post piece even went so far as to giddily recount all the places I carved up the woke, and then have the balls to write, wrapping up his monologue, Maher warned liberals that if they keep pushing radical progressive policies, those in power may never give that power back. Yeah, I said that, and I believe that. But that's not how I wrapped up my monologue. Look, I have it here. I have it. That sentence came here, top of page 2. What about this part? The part that starts with, which brings me to my friends on the right. What happened to that part? Here, let me read a chunk to you. To my friends on the right, I say, an authoritarian police state is not going to work for you either. Do you know what a drag it is to actually have to run a police state? Because half the population is seething, while all the time you know, down deep, that they're right about America becoming something it never was and never should be. What happened to that part? I don't want a retraction from you. I want an addition. Leaving that part out would be like reviewing the movie Jaws and saying, it ends with 3 men who go fishing but don't catch anything. Now, I know why you do this. Short answer, because you're cowards. Because you know if you print the part that challenges your audience, you will get angry tweets and texts, not to mention dirty looks at the Lee Greenwood concert. But, you know, there is a new spirit taking hold in the media, and I think in the country itself, a spirit of, let's cut the bullshit on both sides, shall we? And I'm proud this show has been a part of fostering that. Why don't you jump on the bandwagon? Because the model you're working now isn't making you or your readers look good. If you need every story in your feed to be my team wins, and here's why my side is the good one, you're weak and deliberately keeping yourself ignorant. And yes, that goes for both sides. But conservatives, I thought you were the strong people who laughed at safe spaces. But you can't even read what I really said unless mommy promises you it has a happy ending. Guys, we may not be heading for a happy ending, and one reason is you keeping people in their information ghettos, which fosters hate and division and makes you nothing more than a human algorithm. And algorithms are, as much as anything, what keeps this country so fucked up. I can't tell you exactly how they work because I'm not a virgin. And I'm not a Bond villain who's on the spectrum, but I know it's an evil gremlin that lives inside our phones and that it knows what you watch, what you like, what you click, what you buy, what you jerk off to, what you comment on. It knows all that and then it owns you. If you like it and love it, it gives you more of it. And so you become a very boring, intellectually stunted, predictable person. The good news is I have a way to break out of this. No, not by throwing your phone away. No one would do that. But there's a better way. Fuck with the algorithm. Fuck with it. Stop. Yeah. Stop letting it pigeonhole you. It's so easy. Just click on something you normally wouldn't. If you're a liberal, search for Morgan Wallen tickets. Order a set of shot glasses that looks like a rifle. Ask Google how to reattach a finger after a bottle rocket accident. And if you're a conservative, go to a site that recaps the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. Order a black lady church hat on Amazon. Buy the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Halloween costume. And soon enough, your algorithm will start treating you like a more well-rounded, open-minded person, and who knows, then maybe you'll actually become one.
And there you go. That was Real Time with Bill Maher. It was his New Rules section. Back in a minute. Thank you. So my response to Mr. Bill Maher is, do you really expect us to take you seriously? That's the thing with him. He's a comedian. He's a clown. He goofs for a living. That's what he does. And now he is apparently asking us to, I don't know, I guess consider taking some sort of action, but exactly what it is, I don't know. But the main thing is now he wants us to take him seriously. First, he wants yucks. He wants laughs. He wants to be able to poke fun at the right and the left, get laughs, and then get ratings for that. But now it sounds as though he wants us to take him seriously. Really? Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little motivation.
When you decide to make a change, you're going to be going and things are looking great. You're excited. You're going to tell everybody about it. And then after a while, you're going to hit a wall. And that wall shocked some people. That wall knocked the life out of some people. That wall discouraged some people. It's one thing to believe when you got money in your pocket. There's one thing to believe when your marriage is working out and you got your health. It's easy to believe then. Oh, but when you get that diagnosis, say you ain't gonna be here long. When you lose your job, when someone you thought you'd be with for the rest of your life say, no, we can't do this no more. It's hard to keep your spirits together. Oh, in those moments in the middle of the night when doubts start creeping in your mind and you wonder whether or not you have what it takes, and sometimes you wonder if you're going crazy. Trapped by economic necessity, things you wanted to do, and the clock is still ticking, and you don't know if the clock is going to run out before you can live up to your dream. Sometimes feeling lonely and crying and feel like your back is pressed up against the wall. You got to believe.
The first step for me was seeing something I was not before I was.
Before anything can take place, you've got to believe in your heart of hearts that it's possible that you can be this. You've got to mobilize your mind and your spirit. It's necessary that I do this. This kind of person refuses to be denied. This person doesn't care about the pain because this person knows something. There's no gain without pain. This person comes back anyhow, again and again and again. And if you keep on hitting that wall, here's what happens to you, that you will have an incredible breakthrough.
You get a breakthrough when you fight. The breakthrough is the hardest part. The breakthrough, that last 10%, is all mental toughness. Skill can't get you past certain things. Quickness, agility can't get you. You gotta have mental toughness. Do not allow this to break you, but may this be your breakthrough. I don't care how hard you fall, follow your back. Because if you can follow your back, you can look up. And if you can look up, you can get up. You're working times with tears falling down your face. And you'll look back on the times and you will cherish those times. How many of you had some situations that you were in that you're overwhelmed with fear? You didn't know how you're going to come out, how you're going to survive. And you did. You survived and you didn't die. So what you got to do, whatever that was, whatever that state of consciousness, whatever that self-confidence that you had, however you stood up within yourself, here's what we know. You survived. Here's what we know. You're still here. You didn't die. You did not die. You got it and you handled that fear. You kicked it out of there. And so as you begin to look at the fears in back of you, you came through those fears and you're still here. See, that's a testament about how powerful you are. Now listen to me. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care what you're going through. If you're not dead, you're still in the game. As long as you're alive, you can still make it happen. As long as you're waking up, as long as the breath in your nostrils move, you're still in the game. You still can win. Now get your butt up. All stuff's going to happen to you, but you're still here. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to lose money. People are going to betray you. Things are going to happen that you won't see coming. But each morning that you wake up, you got a chance to work on it. You got another shot. You got some more time that you've been given to begin to straighten things up in your life. Every day you should be excited because you're a billionaire. You're a trillionaire because you got life. Stay on your course. You got your gifts. You got your talents. Stay focused on what you're doing. Focus your energy. Listen to your guts. And as you start just trying to find your way, doing what you can, what you have, you will start seeing things opening up for you. You'll start attracting people. Things will start coming together, clicking for you. You start brainstorming. Ideas will come out of nowhere as you focus on it. The key to it is to begin to focus on what it is you want to do. Why is that important? Because that which we focus on, that which we give our energy to, it will begin to multiply. It will begin to expand. It will begin to develop your consciousness. And out of that comes your greatness. Out of that comes a commitment. Out of that comes a passion for life.
And that's a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little bit of meditation. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. So the No King's Day protests, as it were, they're not actually protests. They're, well, I don't know what the heck to call them, just temper tantrum. There you go. The No King's Day temper tantrums. I like this because I fully intend to take advantage of the absence of these fools, because these are all communists and socialists and liberals, and so while they're over on the street jumping up and down and screaming and yelling, they're not going to be at the coffee shops, the restaurants, the parks and recreation places, the mountains, the beaches, the theaters, the mall. So I'm going to very much enjoy and savor their absence. Back in a minute. Thank you. So this is Greta Van Susteren's show, and she has a guest on, and they're talking about John Bolton's indictment.
What I have.
See, I think a lot of people already decide these cases whether they like the person or not, whether they're skins or shirts, Republicans or Democrats, so they decide that. But when push comes to shove and you actually have to try them, they become, when you see the difficulty, the flaws in the case, and you understand that these are not particularly slam dunk cases for the prosecution, they have flaws. I take sort of the long view and think, does the Trump administration want to lose these cases? Because they'll look really bad if they lose them. Which brings me to the point, which nobody agrees with me, is I since these are weak cases on the surface, I would pardon them to say, let's end lawfare. These are bad people, or whatever he wants to say. I would do that, but nobody agrees with me on that.
Well, I would do that too, to show that you're the bigger person.
Yes, but knowing that you might lose the case down the road.
Well, the first thing I thought too was, well, why are these cases so weak? Trump's going to look so bad if the cases don't go well. But then I'm thinking, I'm not sure he really cares.
Well, he might not, but the thing is that well, I think he wants to beat them. I don't think he wants to lose against them.
I think half the battle is just putting them through what he went through.
Well, so he waits to pardon him. He waits,
or he just
a year.
He lets the chips fall as they may. They're going to have to hire lawyers. It's expensive. It drags them through the mud, and he knows very well because he went through it himself, facing a litany of terrible cases.
See, I would not run the risk of this verdict. I would not run that risk.
Donald Trump is a risk taker, though, and things that you or I might not do, and that's perhaps where he is.
He come out ahead. Ahead. He's the guy. First of all, he would get his pound of.
Okay, so that's good enough for that. So with Greta Van Susteren here, what is it that we know about her that she's basically confessed during this conversation is that she is speculating, that she has absolutely no knowledge of what it is that goes on inside the Trump administration, inside the Department of Justice, or the FBI for that matter. So she's speculating. She says it's a weak case, but she phrases it in such a way as to, she says, on the surface. So apparently she hasn't even looked at the paperwork, the indictment, and so she's just speculating. Now, she has one of two ways to go. She can be a Trump supporter or a Trump hater, one of the two. And so by the way she's speculating that the cases are weak, speculating that they will lose, the Department of Justice will lose, and speculating that loss will make Donald Trump look bad, indicates that she is a Trump hater. Because if she was a Trump supporter and she's going to speculate the opposite way. She's going to speculate that the indictment is strong, the case is strong, that Bolton will be convicted, and that justice will be done, and that Donald Trump will look good. And so there you go. Greta Van Susteren. Back in a minute. Thank you. So the last two paragraphs now of an article in the American Thinker, It's Time to Shelve the Diversity Immigrant Visa by Anonymie. I'm encouraged by the Trump administration's efforts and successes in deportation and self-deportation of illegal aliens these past few months. It will take much longer to be rid of not just those that came in under Biden, but the approximately 20 million illegals already present before he took office. Congressional desire more than a generation ago for more geographically diverse population has been met, and then some. The DV program should be halted. It should be canceled in its entirety, but postponing it for a few years would be better than nothing. And so those are the last two paragraphs of this article. And it's about the DV program, is diversity immigrant visa program. And the idea, again, was to create diversity. The problem here for the author is that she falls into the false dichotomy trap that the left likes to lay for Republicans, and the Republicans like to jump in with both feet. They're stupid. They do it again and again and again and again, and inviting the left and, frankly, the rest of the country to then attack them, beat them over the head, and just generally slander and defame them. The better idea is to say, hey, look, we have this diversity visa program. It has met its quotas, or say diversity visa program, I understand we need a diversity in this country, diversity in terms of immigration, but we have a better way. And come up with a better way rather than simply doing away with the program. When you do away with things, then you're putting yourself in the position of being the person that takes things away from the American people. The left always is careful to be the people that are giving something to the American people. They want to be seen as generous because they know that's generosity is popular, and popularity wins elections, not facts. Popularity. So again, if the Republicans want to be more popular, and I certainly hope that they do, offer something else. Yes, diversity is a value in this country, but this is our idea. We have a better way of achieving those goals. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now this is going to be an article, again, from the American Thinker, that's by Christopher Chantrill, Sanctuary Cities, Drug Cartels, and No Kings. And it is expounding on a theory I've had for a long time that street gangs and drug cartels have political influence in our country. And it makes sense. If you're, especially for drug cartels, you're worth billions and billions of dollars, and you want to try to have it makes sense for you to have influence, political influence in the United States of America, write laws that legalize or decriminalize drugs, since you're in the drug business. So you hire lawyers and whatnot that will go to capitals, Sacramento, for instance, and lobby on behalf of your cartel. But anyways, this is, again, an article that expounds on that. So let's see what we can do here.
Sanctuary cities, drug cartels, and no kings. Every now and again in this world of unknowing, we get a glance at reality in a blinding flash of light. For instance, I have been wondering about the feds arresting drug gang members in various blue cities. What was that all about? Then I read Instapundit Glenn Reynolds' regular piece in the New York Post, and now everything makes sense. I wrote it up in my Substack. Did you know that the whole sanctuary city grift is needed because our blue cities have a long-standing relationship between the drug cartels and the politicians? Here's how it works in Chicago, according to an article in Chicago Magazine back in 2011. While they typically deny it, many public officials, mostly, but not limited to, aldermen, state legislators, and elected judges, routinely seek political support from influential street gangs. Gangs can provide a decisive advantage at election time by performing the kinds of chores patronage armies once did. There's the steady and largely secret flow of money from gang leaders to certain politicians and vice versa. In turn, grateful politicians use their payrolls or campaign funds to hire gang members, pull strings for them to get jobs or contracts, or offer other favors. Own politicians ignore the gang's criminal activities. Some go so far as to protect gangs from the police, tipping them off to impending raids or to surveillance activities. You can see the advantage of sanctuary city status to blue city movers and shakers. It means that the politicians can protect the drug cartels that get them elected and get access to their money without the feds nosing in on the action between local politicians and drug lords. And did you know that Chicago was the third city in the nation to declare itself a sanctuary city back in 1985? It all makes sense. Sanctuary cities are just politics as usual. The politicians use the gangs to turn out the vote, and the gangs use the politicians for a bunch of reasons, mostly to provide protection for their drug business. The sanctuary city designation is a false front. It lets the politicians do some virtue signaling about poor, helpless migrants, and it provides an excuse to forbid their law enforcement agencies from cooperating with the feds and disrupting the operations of the gangs as they peddle drugs to the welfare cheats and exchange favors with the politicians. Really, you have to award the politicians a gold star for creativity. They bellow their virtue to the reverberate hills because helpless migrants, and guess what? The nice liberal ladies, the kind that turn out at No King's protests, actually believe the lie they are peddling. Bless their hearts. Experts are currently researching whether the drug cartels are in on the various federal and state government programs to assist undocumented immigrants, from migrant hotels to healthcare to cash to food to legal assistance. Experts are divided on how the loot is divided between cartels, elected politicians, NGO grantees, and ordinary government administrators. It all seems like chaos, from sanctuary cities to Schumer shutdowns, to No King's mostly peaceful protests, to Helen Andrews' warning on the great feminization. If we are worried by chaos, think of the situation of our liberal friends. Senator Chuck proclaimed a shutdown and nobody came. After 50 years of a glorious career as an elected ballet dancer, doing his world-famous electoral jeté from state assembly to Congress to the Senate without so much as a misstep, Schumer is facing humiliation from the double tort in air of a former bartender. Our liberal friends are humiliated every day by a low-rent real estate oligarch who negotiates peace deals way better than their beloved and credentialed foreign policy experts. Then there's the crisis in the Chardonnay set. Helen Andrews describes the defenestration of Larry Summers from the presidency of Harvard. When he started talking about innate differences in aptitude between men and women, I just couldn't breathe because this kind of bias makes me physically ill, said Nancy Hopkins, a biologist at MIT. You see what is going on here. Nancy Hopkins is performing a double-blind experiment of my scientific theory that women expect to be protected. In her case, she expects to be protected from the scientific fact that female underrepresentation in hard sciences was partly due to different availability of aptitude at the high end, as well as taste differences between men and women not attributable to socialization. Women expect to be protected from men and by men. I sympathize, dear liberal friends. For over 100 years you got to run the table. Now you find yourselves behind the 8 ball, and you can't believe it. I say that we should be merciful with our liberal friends and invite them out for a brewski or a box of Chardonnay. Alas, dear liberal friends, your day is done, and especially your corrupt stitch-up with the drug cartels. Christopher Chantrell at Christian Trill blogs at the Commoner Manifesto and runs the go-to site on U.S. government finances, usgovernmentspending.com. Also get his American Manifesto and his road to the middle class.
And there you go, the article Sanctuary Cities, Drug Cartels, and No Kings by Christopher Chantrell. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, the last couple of paragraphs from an article in the American Thinker called Hey, Hey, Ho, Ho, the UN has got to go. Trump once asked, what do we get for our money when referring to NATO and the UN? Increasingly, Americans know the answer. Not much. If the UN won't reform, treats dictators better than democracies, and continues to mock American sovereignty, then it's time to do what any good landlord would do when the tenant damages the property. Evict them. Or in Trump's language, say, you're fired. America's founding principle was never we, the global bureaucrats. It was we, the people. Maybe it's time to remind the world of that again, starting with a one-way moving truck from Turtle Bay to anywhere but here. And that's last two paragraphs from an article by Brian C. Jundep, M.D. And so, again, he falls into the, first of all, if you're going to move the UN, I think the best place for it to go is Switzerland, for obvious reasons. Anyhow, but the idea is he's falling into the trap of the false dichotomy, either yes or no. And if you go ahead and say, get them out and we should get out of the UN, then, of course, you open yourself up to the slander or defamation that you're a warmonger, because the UN was designed to prevent World War III. So you have, again, the best idea is to have a replacement, to say the UN sucks, we have a better idea. The other reason that you want to do this is because if you just tear down the UN, you're going to leave a vacuum if you don't have something to replace it with. And that vacuum will be filled, if you don't have something to replace it with something that is an awful lot like the UN, but with a different name. So, don't make the mistake of being caught in a false dichotomy. Offer something new, something else. We've got a better idea. That's the best way to go. You want to be seen politically as giving things to people, not always taking them away. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Jimmy Failla.
I'm Jimmy Failla, and this is Fox News Saturday Night. Come on, hop in.
For coming. This is amazing. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was actually supposed to go on a cruise this weekend, but Trump blew up the boat. And, crazy, right? The worst part is it was Carnival Cruise, so the passengers were shooting back at the drone. I was like, get me out of here. But welcome to Fox News Saturday Night. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah, we got a great one lined up for you with Fox News superstars Kennedy and Brian Brenberg on the panel. There they are, all right. Yeah. As you know, those two are like Fox News royalty, okay? Seriously, they are like the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of Fox News. Stop it. But speaking of married couples, my wife, Jenny Failla, is making her return to the show. Jenny's in the house. There you go. Those of you, you guys all know my wife. There you go. Stop it. That's not Jenny. That's William the Refrigerator Perry. Come on, Jimmy. Stop it. Here is the real Jenny Failla for people watching at home. For those of you, there we are. Look at those lovebirds right there. There we are. There we are. I got to tell you, it is so funny because every time I have Jenny on TV, I get like 50 messages saying she's like way too hot. I outkick my coverage. What's a slob like you doing with a girl like that? And the worst part is half of them are from her. You know, tough crowd in the living room, you know? But hot damn, this last guest, I really mean this, is my all-time favorite. Pro wrestling icon Sergeant Slaughter is joining us in studio later on. That's a big damn deal. If you're not a wrestling fan, Sergeant Slaughter became like a household name in the 80s because he fought an Iranian wrestler named the Iron Sheik. And since he likes beating up Middle Eastern guys so much, we brought him in to take out Zoran Mamdani. get to Mamdani in a little bit with the panel, but what a confusing time for New York City. Like, if Mamdani wins, people say it's going to be like Sharia law, so the women have to cover their entire bodies in public. But then if Cuomo wins, he says women aren't allowed to wear any clothes at all. Stop it. As for the guy in charge of the whole country, President Trump had a huge week that started with Hamas giving back the Israeli hostages on Monday. That's a big deal. People were amazed Trump pulled it off because this fighting has been going on for centuries. But apparently Hamas finally gave up after Trump threatened to send in Katie Porter. And they were worried they might wind up in the background of one of her Zoom calls and she'd flip out. They were like, death to Israel. And she was like, get the out of my shot. We are so sorry, Katie. We're so sorry. And they can't even fight back against Katie Porter in the Middle East because a lot of their religions worship cows. And stop it. But what's funny is Trump brokered a historic world-changing ceasefire in the Middle East, and then on the flight back started a war with Time magazine. Did you see this? For those of you under 40, Time is what your grandparents read on the toilet before cell phones came along. And Trump frees the hostages. Time does a write-up to salute the man and decides to go with this cover photo. Look at it again, okay? Yo, this looks like the picture you get when your camera accidentally goes off in your pocket, okay? Just a random shot of your neck from underneath, you know? And of course, Trump responded by doing what any good president does, which is posting on Truth Social at 1:30 in the morning. Here's the post. I'll read it. Time magazine wrote a relatively good story about me, but the picture may be the worst of all time. They disappeared my hair, then had something floating on top of my head that looked like a floating crown, but an extremely small one. Really weird. I never liked taking pictures from underneath angles, but this is a super bad picture and deserves to be called out. What are they doing and why? Okay? I love that Trump signs his tweets in a way that tells you if he's done talking about the subject or if there's more to come. Like if he's finished with the subject, he writes, "Thank you for your attention to this matter," okay? But if it's not over yet, you get the unsolved mysteries. What are they doing and why? You know? Now, the internet is divided over the picture. I didn't actually see it because I only read Time magazine for the articles. And, but let me ask you, okay? Let me ask you. Clap if you think it is a flattering picture of Trump. Does anybody think it looks good? Oh, no. Okay, so clap if you think they tried to make him look bad on purpose. A lot of you do. Oh, wow. Okay. Fair. Well, either way you slice it, this is not the worst picture of a politician on the front cover of a publication. There you go. I've said this before. Anthony Weiner is the reason a lot of liberals believe in climate change. Do you know that? Like, we're all used to getting snow in January, but when Weiner was in office, New Yorkers saw 5 inches every August. And, of course, I bring up beach season because when he wasn't freeing hostages, talking to Putin, and meeting Zelensky at the White House, President Trump took time out to talk bathing suits. Watch this.
Do you like to visit Argentina soon?
I do. I would love to. I'm just a little busy. I'd love to go to Argentina. I'd like to be like Biden. I'd like to go to the beach. You know? My legs are not quite as thin as his. My legs are slightly heavier. My arms are slightly larger. My body is a little bit larger than his. I'm not sure it would be appreciated on the beach, but I'm not going to take a chance. You won't see me on a bathing suit.
Shout. Trump's brain is like a computer with no virus protection. When he starts talking, he just gets pop-ups that open up in his brain. You're like, "Mr. President, would you ever visit Argentina?" And he's like, bathing suits. Joe Biden went to the beach a lot, didn't he? Remember that show Baywatch? Whatever happened to Pamela Anderson? And of course, we know what happened to Pamela Anderson. Her career was kind of quiet for a minute, but she's back on top of the A-list after appearing alongside that Hollywood super hunk. There it is. There it is. There it is. Jimmy. So I got to write her joke monologue for a stand-up show called Gotham Comedy Live a few years back. And I'll be honest, I actually thought I had a shot with her. Till right after we took that picture at the end of the night, she leaned in and she goes, "You are so funny, Chris Farley." And I was like, oh, damn. I'm going to get out of here. But Trump's virus protection has clearly expired, so he kept going off on Biden. Watch the rest of this.
You won't see in a bathing suit sitting on a beach in Argentina, falling down, not being able to lift a 3-ounce chair, meant for old people to lift, and he couldn't lift it. Somebody told him that he looked good in a bathing suit. And you'd see this guy on the beach all the time. I never quite understood it.
Okay. Hilarious stuff. But again, the question was, do you want to visit Argentina? That's killing me. But give Biden credit for one thing, because we always make fun of Biden, especially when we compare his stamina to Trump's, right? But according to Biden's staff, he's been walking 5 miles a day since he left office. They can't find him anywhere. And, of course, no conversation about old Democrats would be complete without some Nancy Pelosi talk. And the thing is, I can't bash Nancy Pelosi because I'm Catholic. And historians say she was the best waitress at the Last Supper. So it's, you know. Jesus turned the bread into fish. She was right there with the sharing plates. Come on, Uni. You better clap. I'm going to hell for that one. But the hot rumor in politics is that Nancy is melting down behind the scenes because everyone is blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Now, we don't know if that's true, but she does appear to be running a little hot. Take a look at this.
Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up.
Yo! I haven't seen Nancy that mad since she forgot her teeth in the House chamber. The guard was like, "Sorry, madam, speaker, the chamber's closed." She was like, "Shut up. I got to put my chompers in or Paul will think he's getting hanky-panky tonight," you know? Stop it, Jimmy. Stop it. But the question was about sending in the National Guard on January 6th. Nancy really does answer like she was going to storm the Capitol. Watch this whole exchange.
Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
By the way, I so love the reporter because she turns around and looks at her old camera like, "This old crazy." You know? Now, it's worth noting that Trump was in charge of the government on January 6th, but that's actually a good thing. Could you imagine if Biden sent his woke troops and a bunch of drag queens showed up that day? It'd be like January 6 inches. You know what I'm saying? Stop it. Don't applaud that. But you know it's bad for Nancy when Democrats are blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Watch this.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And it's the wrong thing for the country. In a period of chaos, I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken by the Republicans. They were designed to expire.
So it's pretty crazy to think the voice of reason in the Democrat Party is a guy who couldn't talk 2 years ago. But Fetterman is telling the truth. Democrats shut down the government because of Obamacare subsidies that they killed. Like, hello, we know it's your fault. This is like saying the dog ate my homework. You know what I mean? It's the oldest excuse in the book. They say it everywhere except Kristi Noem's house. And, oh, sorry. Oh, that joke should have come with a trigger warning, I guess. I don't know. But stick with me, because, of course, not every Democrat agrees with Fetterman, including this low-rent Barack Obama impersonator we found on the New York City subway. Check it out.
House Republicans shut the government down. Then they ran out of town. And for the last 3 weeks, they're nowhere to be found.
Now, in his defense, that's actually an excerpt from Kamala's new book, Horton Hears a Hoe. And, Stop it, Jimmy. Stop it. Dirty Dr. Seuss joke night. But the Democrats are just so bad at being cool. Like Hakeem Jeffries and a room full of staffers worked on that poem and decided to go on TV like this was like this rim-rocking game changer. Republicans shut the government down, then they ran out of town. Oh, wow, Hakeem. You know, dude, Hakeem, you and your nerdy assistants suck, so stop passing the buck, because when the midterms come, you're all okay? Now, the bad news is the government is still shut down. The good news is the two parties did go to lunch Saturday afternoon. Take a look.
Come on, please come down.
Now, stop. That fight took place at a Texas Whataburger. Police have not yet released the name of the Texan who was beating the guy up, but they know it's not Beto O'Rourke because he never beat anyone. That was the joke of the year, and the year was 2018. There it is. All right. Okay, so not every Democrat was in a bad mood this week. Did you see that report that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker won $1.4 million playing blackjack? Hot $1.4 million? That works out for $1 for every shooting they had in Chicago last weekend. I mean, wow. I know, right? Seriously. Now, I know Pritzker is a billionaire, but he was really excited about winning the money. Look at him leaving the casino.
What the...
Stop it, Jimmy. That's a moose that was running through New Hampshire, which has actually happened before. If you remember, in 2024, they had a moose run through the New Hampshire primaries during the Republican round. I got to tell the fat jokes before Wardrobe jabs me with the Ozempic needle. They're trying left and right. They're like, get over here. I'm like, oh, God. But here's Pritzker saying it is true that he won big at the tables.
I went on vacation with my wife, with some friends. I was incredibly lucky. You have to be to end up ahead, frankly, going to a casino anywhere. It was in Las Vegas, and I like to play cards.
So there you go. And I'm not going to roast the guy, because anyone who knows me knows I did my fair share of gambling in my 20s. Like, I still gamble to this day. On the way here, I ate a chicken kebab in Times Square. I mean, talk about rolling the dice, you know? Sheesh. Not good. Not good, man. But and you got to feel for the guy making it. You know what it's like to cook a goat you were just making love to an hour ago? You guys don't scare me. I love that. But I honestly think Pritzker's staff was smart to share this story, because playing cards actually makes him a lot more relatable, because everybody plays cards, everybody in the country. The only note about that is the people who make Uno have changed its name to One, so Tom Homan doesn't deport them. But if you really think about it, so many really famous politicians have had stories related to playing cards. For instance, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the Republican governor of California, he got in a lot of trouble for playing Old Maid. Do you remember that? If you didn't get that joke, you don't have a secret stepbrother named Pablo, okay? And of course, I grew up in the 90s. We had a president who loved to play strip poker. Who could forget, okay? There you go. There you go. There you go. But even back in the 70s, every girl who drove home with Ted Kennedy ended up playing Go Fish.
Thank you. This is Ron, your host and the only true conservative in the United States. Today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that atheism doesn't exist.